Boy, it's amazing, Sir Google.
Yes,
I know.
it is.
I know doctors and vets, and plumbers and electricians, just loves Dr. Google. No,
No, they don't.
no, they don't.
Google has.
Well, I saw on the internet this is how you're supposed to do that.
This is what's wrong with me.
So the question that we asked right before the news, Jessica's here from the chamber.
Yes.
This is hour number 3 on Election Day. Are employers required to give time off to employees who wish to go vote?
Yes.
And you did a little bit of research. And what's the website you found?
So we found a website. Of course, I've lost it now. But we did find a website that says no. The federal law says no.
Right.
But
But
there's states that
Yes.
have decided.
that's right.
So 30 states are saying yes, we will give you time off to vote. And then it even broke it down by state. So like how much time off or whatever, listed it alphabetically. New Mexico, yes, and you have to do it within 2 hours.
Okay. So you are, as an employer,
Yes.
you are required.
To allow
If
your
an employee
employees.
comes to you and says, I need to go vote, you are required to give them that time off, and that employee can take up to 2 hours to do this vote thing.
If that's how long it takes.
Is this paid
No.
time or unpaid time?
We didn't verify that, but I don't think it's...
And New Mexico now has paid personal time.
Oh.
So does this, if it's unpaid, do they have to claim vacation or paid personal leave time?
Oh, goodness gracious. Now we're getting into the weeds. I don't know that answer, Gene.
No, it's interesting. And we're not going to do it now, but it would be kind of interesting to see of the 30 states that have this requirement for employers, how many of them are run by Democrats
Right.
and how many of them are run by Republicans. Because what Jessica and I were talking about off air was, in my opinion, between early voting and absentee voting and polls being open 7 to 7, you shouldn't have to have a state mandate forcing employers to provide
Right.
time off to go vote, because you were giving an example of somebody that really does work like a 12-hour day, and so it's hard for them to have the time to go and vote. But we have the early voting and we have the absentee voting, which if they really wanted to vote,
They could do that
on
too.
a
Yeah.
day off, as long as it's not Sunday.
Right.
They could take the time to vote. We've had the barking guy for 2 months now.
Yes.
Economize your travel. If you're coming into town and you're going to the football game, here's where you can go vote and then go to the football game. Or
Yes.
here's where you can vote and go to this event. So this is a philosophical question. How far do we need to bend over to make it possible for people to go and vote?
Right. That's true.
What are all
That's
the
true.
things that we're going to have to do? I mean, we might as well just have the poll
day
workers
off.
walk in and just hand you your ballot and say, here, fill this out so I can take it. And don't give that idea to some people. They would do that. But there's another thing that I think some people might actually go for. What if we made Election Day a federal holiday?
Yeah.
Not that we need another federal holiday.
Right.
But if Election Day was a federal holiday, now obviously your essential people are still going to be working.
Aren't we all essential, Gene?
Well, yes, we used to have
We
a
have
shirt
the
that
shirt.
said
I have the shirt to prove it.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I know. No, I get it. I
I'm
get
not
it.
the governor's essential workers. I'm police, fire.
What?
Help,
You're not the guy in charge of finding the Wagyu?
No,
Okay.
no, I won't be asked to do that.
Okay.
So anyway,
Anywho.
the answer to the question is,
Yes.
in New Mexico,
Yes.
you can go to your boss today and say, hey, boss, can I have some time off to go vote?
Yes.
And they are required to allow you to have up to 2 hours
Yeah.
off to go vote.
Yep. And honestly, in Artesia, it's not going to take 2 hours. I get it in maybe, especially with the convenience locations, right? Like, now that it's changed to be that, it's not like you have to drive to your specific, like say you come in from Carlsbad every day to work here.
Yeah.
You don't have to drive all the way back to Carlsbad to go vote.
That's right.
You can just come here. So
And that's
hopefully you only
another
need about 10 minutes.
Exactly.
30 minutes at the most.
No, you're exactly right. And that's another reason why maybe because that wasn't always the case.
Right.
You had to go to your precinct
Right.
location in order to
And so
to
places
vote.
like Albuquerque, if you had to drive across town, I get that. You might need a 2-hour window.
Exactly.
But not anymore,
In
really.
Eddy County, unless you're way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get called out on emergencies. I mean, I get all that. But I think we're talking about very few cases versus the bigger picture, which
Sure.
is we have early voting, we have early
Absentee.
in-person absentee, we have absentee voting, and then we have 7 to 7 on election day. And
Yes.
if that's an issue, then maybe make it 8 to 8 or 7 to 8 or 6 to 8. And the poll workers are going, no,
Please
no."
don't. Please don't.
But what I'm saying is
Yeah.
there's other things that could be done to make sure we accommodate everybody that wants to vote, short of the government mandating that a business have to do this or that
Yeah,
or the other
yeah,
thing. And
for sure.
That's what's bugging me about it.
Yeah.
It's not an issue here
Sure.
at our place, but I can see in some places where
It might
shift
be.
work and
Yeah.
you're running the fast food place and you got 2 no-shows today and you're down to you and the GM cooking the food, and somebody says, hey, I need to take my 2 hours off to go vote, and you're like, we got to feed the people here,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's interesting. Good. Well, are there any other questions or anything else?
Not any burning questions for me.
Okay.
Thank you very much for answering all my questions today, Gene.
Well, I'm glad to do
appreciate it.
that. I will try to
I
endeavor.
flipped it on you today, didn't
That's
I?
okay. No, that's fine. I endeavor to come up with answers. They may not be the right answers, but I will give you an answer.
Well, hopefully our answers today were right.
No, in this case, we wanted to be
Yeah.
accurate. So.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thanks. And
See you next week.
See you next week. We're going to take a look at the weather